here's the thing, guys. I'm feeling like a little bit of a hypocrite. A little bit of a hypocrite. No joke. But as per usual on Cancel Me Baby, it's not exactly why you would think. So here's the topic of today. And I don't mean for this to rhyme, but it's because you all are feeling a type of way. Okay. We're going to talk about IG models. Now, I have feelings on it. My guest has feelings on it. So without further ado, let's just like get right into it. Okay. Because that little cliffhanger, we're going to get into why. So everybody help me in welcoming my friend. This is Amanda Nicole. She is, we met at Penn State. So I'm representing today. I got the PSU hat. And as you can see, right, as per my motto, we got the tits and we both got the brains and new education. Yes.
That is what I'm talking about.
Exactly. So Amanda is a former model. And she has feelings about this. Okay. So she and I were, because I was taking this to you guys on Instagram and I know you guys were like all chiming in, like, I feel this. So we're DMing on the side and I'm like, you know what? Come on my show and let's do it.
Yes, let's do it.
So here's where I'm at. Okay. Well, first of all, here's the first thing. Obviously people feel a type of way about this, but why does no one talk about this? Like I was actually kind of nervous before hopping into this interview, TBH, because I feel like
I feel like people are nervous to talk about it because like if they go against this, it's like anti-woman in a sense. Like leave her alone, let her get her coins, like leave her alone. But it's like, at what point do we like draw the line where it's problematic? You know what I mean?
We're gonna get into that because that's gonna be like my latter half of the app because that's undeniable, especially with young girls, right? Like the shit that's going on. So for me, like, I want to lay this out and get your thoughts because here, and this isn't where my hypocrisy is just yet. Okay. Because I feel like you guys know I'm all for a woman doing whatever they got to do. I don't care if you strip. I don't care if you're going to be a rocket scientist. I don't care. I don't think IG models, like, I don't think innately they shouldn't do it. I don't think it's like wrong. I don't think they're any less of a woman. Like some could have Ivy League degrees. I know some who are like politically spoken. Like that doesn't take away from the other, right? The part that gets me a little pissed, I'm going to say it, I'm only human and both things can be true, is it feels like we're competing in the same space, right? Like I look at them and I'm like, oh, they have like millions of views and followers, like the truth hurts, as Lizzo says, right? So that's where I feel like it's hitting them a certain way because it's all blurred, right? Like you had entertainers, the Cardi B's, right? If you want to go do sex work, if you want to do whatever, but I feel like everyone had their respective lanes. Like they're over there and I'm over here. And now it's like we're all kind of competing for the attention of everyone in the same space.
Correct. I agree 100%. If everyone's an influencer and they're trying to influence on every aspect, who's the audience? You know, who's the market we're going to? I'm starting to get confused. I feel like we're just pushing it, but who are we pushing it to? You know what I mean?
It's like each other. Is everyone going to be an influencer? I mean, I saw this on Bill Maher that I think something like 70% of Gen Z want to be a famous influencer, period. And I think for millennials, for us, it's like 60%. But to me, that's alarming. It's like,
it is alarming. I feel
that's like that line you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
it's like
it's a line. Where do we draw the line? And if you want to be an influencer, like I kind of feel like millennials and their way of wanting to be an influencer, they just look at it as like, I'm just sick of just the struggle. This looks like an easy way out. Whereas I feel like the Gen Z, like they don't know any differently. There's never been, I feel like, as much of like an image of like hustle and working hard to them. Like they see that this leads to success and a living, so why not do it? And it's all about image, which is cool, and that's it. So it's just like, it's kind of alarming because it's like, oh my gosh, if everyone wants to be an influencer, who's going to be doctors and lawyers? All the stuff that we need.
So true. I was thinking about that actually last night. I was like, so what if you're an IG model? Because I know some women who do it because they're like, I'm making bank and I'm going to take advantage of this system, and why not? But I'm like, but what if you want to go and be a brain surgeon? It's like, is this taking our hustle? Wait, talk to me too. And this, before I get, because this is a little bit about where I feel like hypocritical on my end, right? So here's where the hypocrisy lies, is that because we are in this space, like no one's in their respective lanes anymore. It's like we're all in the same pool.
Right.
I'm taking advantage of the same system they are. Like there's no gatekeepers. And so I'm doing this show on my own, right? So like and I want to get into like your modeling past, because that's why I know you feel a certain type of way. Like in my mind, it's either like gatekeepers or not. We can't have it both ways. So for somebody like me, I would have to go to networks, convince some studio or high up exec or network exec, that I should have my own show. But here I am just doing it. So for a model, it would be getting an agent, going on castings, getting rejected. And now they're just able to do it. So I'm like, really, I'm just taking advantage of the same thing they are.
Right. But I feel like there's a little bit of a difference, because with you or whoever is kind of just starting their own thing and they're kind of just going rogue and just going for it, there's a work ethic to it, right? Just how with modeling, there's a work ethic to it. So like, if you want to start out modeling, and people can think what they want about models, whether it's shallow or whatever, but I mean, as someone who did it, going to castings, being rejected, too fat, too skinny, not a big enough butt, too big of a butt, like it's just, you're getting shot down left and right. You better be on the casting on time. I mean, you've all seen America's Next Top Model. You got to get to that go-see, right? And that's really what it is. And you know what? You're in line with 20 other beautiful models, and you're just like, all right, cool. Well, probably not going to get this. And you know what? You book that one job, you start booking more, and that's where your success comes. But now we're kind of like in this lane where like, it's backwards. You just start posting a couple pictures and a brand sees that you got a lot of followers, and they're like, okay, they're going to be the face of my brand now. So it's kind of like, it's so backwards now, and it's just causing a lot of animosity for a lot of people.
You're also like, you're boobalicious, like you're curvy and you still post boobalicious photos. So talk to me about that side, because I'm going to keep it transparent with you guys as I do. Like, I don't follow any Instagram models, right? And this is where it's like, don't get it twisted. I'll support you all day, but I don't have to like consume that content. Just like I'd say I'd support a sex worker or whatever. I don't have to be consuming their content all day. I'll still support them doing it, right? 100%. So in like the curvilicious space, is that a thing now that's like a niche that's breaking out with IG models, that when you were trying to do it was harder?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I was kind of in it a few years ago, and we just kind of were hitting the cusp of like the curvilicious, where also you had Ashley Graham and whatnot.
Yes.
So, we were just kind of coming out and having our moment. Now it's like anybody that has like a little bit of curve is posting a sexy photo. And it's like, it's almost like all of a sudden people are like, oh, women have curves. What? Let's make them models. Like it just like all of a sudden, like that's a new thing that was never existed before. But really like, I'll post whatever, like I don't, because I know, and I have other things to talk about. I have other, skill sets, and it's genuine. And I think that's what it is. Like the people you follow, when it's authentic, and when it's not. And when they're saying something that matters, and when they're not. And I feel like I'll post all day long. I don't really care. Like it doesn't bother me. And I don't think that makes me a shallow IG influencer. It's when people are just posting curated perfect images after perfect images, and it's like, what is this? What are you saying? What give me more? It's not giving me anything. It's just, and then on top of that, you're getting brand endorsements, and you're going more and more and more into it. And it's like, for what? Just because you posted a pretty photo? Like, is this what society is now? Just like, who can post a prettier photo?
Well, that's why I feel innately at odds, because I'm such an advocate for like expressing yourself however you want. But I think for me, like I'm an Aquarius, you guys know, just with this show, like I'm no bullshit. So that is like another layer, is like the, whatever you want to call it, Photoshop, Facetune, which in the old day it was airbrush, right? Like it's always something, but now it's like to the nth degree. To your point about the animosity makes people like a little like bitter about it, because it's like, but here's the thing though, which got me thinking, right? So when you talk about like the gatekeepers versus the market, the thing is like, we used to let the gatekeepers decide. Like you said, it would be casting agents. For me, it would be like a studio exec, right?
Right.
Now it's like the market deciding. And for better or worse, like they're deciding, like they're looking, they have millions. I'm always like, how are these Instagram models have more followers than like like Fleetwood Mac? I'm sorry, what? Not that Stevie Nicks probably gives a fuck, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so literally. People are responding, like people are are watching. So is that like, what do you think that is? Is that just like human nature that sex sells, period?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is like herd mentality in a sense too. Like if someone has more followers, there's so many influencers on there that have so many followers. I have no idea who they are, but sometimes I hit follow too because I feel like, am I supposed to be following these people? And I feel that way with the hypocriticalness too. Like I'm all for girl, do you, no judgment.
I know you
almost
are.
feels like they're also stepping into other people's lanes. And that's when I feel like it's kind of like, and at the end of the day, like, don't we all want to respect somebody for doing something that comes from hard work at the end of the day?
So this 100, and this goes into a twofold, right? Which is this a kind of thing where it's like, the world ain't fair. It is what it is. Like another argument, right, is like reality stars who blow up and get famous for making fools of themselves on TV. And then this is like pertains to my world, right? And then scores like an agent and acting gigs, and like real career actors are like, the back of the line is that away, you know? And I feel like that. I'm like, when I see these people with a huge number attached to their name getting like hosting gigs, I'm like, hold my earrings, like hold my, right? But is that just like a sad reality? It's like, this is like the new reality star in a way.
It kind of is. And you know what's sad is because at least with reality stars, like they made bumbling fools of themselves on TV. So you kind of know like what they're about. Like, and you kind of like there's stuff out there on them that they might not necessarily want to be out on TV. And we're seeing with IG influencers, like that is just what they want us to see. You know what? There's no accidental pictures of them looking bad. There's no them making a fool of themselves. It's 100% curated by them. And therefore it's like, well, you know, that is just unrealistic expectations right there. Like if you almost respect a reality star that kind of, you know, cheats the system, because at least like, you know, they kind of made an ass out of themselves a little bit in the process. With IG models, like it's just kind of like, what am I looking at? Where's the authenticity? And I think real fame and real success also comes from authenticity, to be honest with you. And that's why I don't really like, I feel, yes, I want to stay in my lane, but it's like, come on, girl, come on. Like, show me something else. Show me something else.
Okay, speaking of showing something else, because when I opened this, I talked a little bit about your looks not taking away from your brain, right? I mean, you're an example of that. You guys, if you're watching Amanda, you already know, I don't have to describe, but if you're listening, I mean, she's gorgeous. She has like the blazer, and she has like the boobs out. It is all put together. Like I look like I'm coming from a softball meeting compared to Amanda right now, right? And you have your Penn State degree, and also, do you have your master's, or you're going for your master's?
I was going for my master's, and then I just decided to keep working. I was in Georgetown for a little bit, so I didn't finish, but you know what?
But you could if you wanted to. That's my point. Exactly. So what do you think, like, models or these IG models being put in a box of like, oh, well, they have no brains and here they go doing this? I mean, think about it. Remember back when we were at PSU, remember Barstool's smoke show of the day? I was never a smoke show, by the way. Thanks, Dave Portnoy. We don't forget. So I'll get redemption one day. But it's that idea, right? That like educated college women can also be sexy. But what is with this whole thing that people put them in a box of like, it's like, oh, they can't do anything better, so they're just going to slap on a thong and go. And that's where the animosity is too, right? It's like, how hard is it? Why did I get a college degree? How hard is it to slap on a thong, go take photos by a pool? Like, because you've been on both sides. So how do you feel about those boxes?
I'm kind of with you on the feeling like a hypocrite 100%. Like, I definitely know like where my hypocrisy kind of shows there. Like, I totally get it. But at the same time, I guess, because like, I feel like, you know, right? You know, it shows through when a girl's intelligent. It shows through when she's smart. And it also shows through when she's gorgeous. And I'm not going to lie, I do follow influencers that are funny, gorgeous, and I will support them. I will like give them a follow, maybe look at what they're trying to endorse. Like, I'm not beyond it, but it shows through. But then there are other influencers where if you just go to their page, it's bikini picture, bikini picture, bikini picture, bikini picture. And that's where the animosity shows through, because now it's like, I'm never going to look like that. I can't compete with that. Like, the only thing I have, not the only thing, but, you know, I have that extra little, you know, I'm educated on top of it. So I have a little more going for it. But if I'm just competing with girls that are slapping on a thong and showing their most inner anal cavity, then you know what? I give up.
And you know what's like crazy too is that I feel like society in general about this is at odds because we are in a society that prizes like brains over body, right? Which is why like anything with like sex work or IG models are like looked down upon. It's like, oh, they're no brain. But it's like goes back into what I said earlier, the thing that like sex sells, and look at how many millions of followers and attention they're getting. So that in and of itself is at odds.
I think it comes down to respect. And I know like at the end of the day, like we should just like support women getting their coins and not be a hater, I guess, per se. But it does come down to respect. If you respect yourself, other people are going to respect you. And I think IG influencers, not to sound like, you know, grandma saying this, but like they're shameless.
On the other side of that coin, okay, and someone, because I was prepping for this, it like I've been talking about this, and someone said to me, because you say like it's shameless, and it's like, are they just taking advantage of the system and running with it, and they just like figured it out? Like someone asked me, would you take that route if someone said you have to do this and you get millions of followers? Like personally, like I said, for me, it's not my thing, it's not the way I want to do it, or put in like the extra hard work. So that's something, it's like, given the opportunity, would you take it?
You know, it's funny. I've associated with some people in the past, and I've been friends with people that their whole goal is to just do this, is to just take off being an influencer. They just don't want to really work. They just want to get some residual income from these brands and stuff like that. And trust me, when I'm waking up early and like getting the crust out of my eyeballs, yeah, I probably, and sometimes I'm like, I should go that route too. But it's kind of like, at the end of the day though, a lot of these influencers, at least from what I've seen from the behind the scenes, they really don't have that much money. Most of them do not have that much money. They don't have that much success. And a lot of them don't know how to keep the ball rolling. They may come into a little bit of a chunk of money, a little bit of stack of money, but a lot of them don't last. There's no, you know, there's no longevity in this career, right? Because looks fade. And that's ultimately what it comes down to.
You made a comment to me yesterday. You were like, girl, retirement age for a model is 28. Like, that's
I'm
it.
being nice. It's technically like 24, but you see some ladies like being a little like older with it. Yeah, I was like, I'm done. I was like, I was like getting casted as like moms now, and like I'm now 30, but at like 26, I was like going on for castings for like Macy's mom. Like, I was like, oh, well, this is a slap in the face. Cool.
What a good time. That's actually in and of itself is like something about these people taking our roles. Like that's another version of that. I feel like
a lot of these influencers are being signed to agencies now. They're being signed to like social media, like agencies. So it's like, they've created their own lane, and you kind of have to have respect, but it's like they're monopolizing the whole game. And how does, it's kind of not fair to the people who don't want to be on like on Instagram selling flat tummy tea, you know, they just want to be a model.
Well, that's where I feel like the animosity comes in, because again, it's like, I'm benefiting from this system that it's like open for all, come on, like no gatekeepers. So it's like, you can't have it both ways. It's either gatekeepers or not, because once you have it open like this, you can't start making rules and being like you said, they created their whole thing. So that's where it's like a little bit of a conundrum on this Tuesday, on this Thirst Trap Tuesday.
Tuesday. No, and I agree with you to that extent. It's just like, I was, not to like name drop or to name drop, I was like looking at influencers last night, like specifically just trying to like, you know, get prepared and stuff like this. And like one that I didn't even realize I followed, but realized I had to unfollow her, she came on my nerves, was like, her name's like Jenna Frooms. She's Jason Derulo's girlfriend, just strictly an influencer. So there is nothing else to her. She doesn't sing, she doesn't act, she does not dance. She dates celebrities and just posts pictures in bikinis. And I was just like, part of me was like, maybe if I lose 50 pounds, but then another part of me was like mad. I was like, what are you, like, this is not fair. Like, you are making so much money, living the good life, and you did nothing for it. You did nothing to get there.
But see how it's like that thing again, where it's like people who it's like the easy, quote unquote, easy route. And there's always been like, that's the animosity. It's like, there's always been a reincarnation of that, whether it be the reality star. And to your point about Jason Derulo's girlfriend, while you were saying that, it made me think of Karrueche. And I've interviewed and met her, and she's great, but it's that thing, right? Where it's like, you were Chris Brown's girlfriend. So you like skirted your way up to the top.
Yeah,
while
exactly.
all of us are hating our lives, like getting shut down in Hollywood. And now you're on a TV show, you have these deals, right? And so that's what I'll say, where I'm like a baby. I'm like, but it's not fair. And it isn't that thing where it's like, bitch, life isn't fair.
Life isn't fair. And it just, but I think it could ultimately down the line in the future just cause a lot of problems just because we're reversing the steps, right? I feel like we used to have to take the steps to have success, you know, for modeling or for you know, we're grinding, we're going on castings, we book this job, then we book the bigger job, and then we're on the billboards, and then we're on this, and then the brand endorsements come, right? It's a, you know, athletes, for example, they have to hustle, work hard, then be in the league for how many years, get an endorsement deal. Now, brands, if you just have an M next to a number on your followers, you're getting the endorsement deal. And then, so it's like, what did you do to get there? And I think ultimately it's just going to lead to this society that just doesn't know anything. And it's just all a very superficial, stupid society.
Like
what are you, so you're just gonna take a bunch of pictures and then get the brand deal? What are you going to do? Who's behind this all? Like, I'm lost. I'm lost and I'm frustrated.
Amanda, we'll be blabbering and propped up like our president. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Sorry about it. Zinger. Yeah, but
exactly
there
what
is
be.
What?
That's exactly what we'll be.
We'll be sleepy. We'll be sleepy in our basements, and then we'll be thriving. Yeah, and it is, right? It really is interesting though, this idea of like, because that's like our society, and I know I do that. Like, I prize myself on like doing it the hard way, right? It's like that question of, if you were served this, would you take it?
Yeah.
And here's like playing devil's advocate though. And this is what my friend said to me when we were talking about this, because he's been in the business forever. And he's like, I knew people who, when we had the gatekeepers, like worked their ass off, had to do all that, and then didn't make it.
It's just kind of like, yeah, but if you're supposed to be doing something, you're going to make it, right? And I know so many people, and I guess like why I have such an animosity towards it personally is like, I have known so many people personally that I've met through the modeling industry, or just like even kind of just like in that kind of modeling, acting, dancing industry, that like on Instagram, they're in Tulum, they're in New York, they're in LA, they're here, they're there, they're whatever, they're in a great hotel room, they're on this. And I know you personally, that you're sleeping on a mattress on the floor. So that's where I'm just like, you're lying, you're creating these images. And then it also goes to tie into like, what are we feeding the young girls and just like the young kids in general, you know? But a lot of it is, it's a scam. A lot of them aren't this rich. A lot of them aren't this successful. It is all about the image that they have curated.
It's Fyre Festival. It's fake news.
Fyre Festival, exactly.
What was the guy's name? Billy, whatever. He is the mastermind behind this. No. And look, guys, a lot of women, even like when I posted this on my IG, like so many women from all different like backgrounds, careers, whatever, have these feelings. Like what we're saying is nothing unique. Again, I find it odd that no one talks about this. I could see why, to your point, because inherently, like on the surface, it would be like an anti-women thing. But I think, and this is where I want to pivot, because something to me, it's like, it's not okay that your worth is tied to how many numbers, a number next to your name. And that's where I think we're getting like in this fucked up society where young kids are going to feel worth, like, I'm sorry. When I was young, I won the, you know, spelling bee, and that made me excited, or I won my cheerleading competition. And now it's like, well, you have a number next to your name. And that's where, to your point earlier about where do we draw the line in the sand? Like, this is where, and I'm not saying IG models are to blame. Again, like they're doing their thing and people are watching and following, but it's toxic.
It is toxic. And, you know, it's kind of like get onto that. Like even in modeling, like I wasn't considered for certain jobs because I didn't have a lot of followers. Like, didn't matter, you know, we want to go shallow, what I look like. A big factor was like, I wasn't even being considered for jobs if I didn't have a certain number on my Instagram. And I was just like, are you kidding me? When it was just used to be so different. It used to be the opposite. You got more jobs, you got more followers, you got more fame. And now it's just backwards. We're getting fame for nothing. right?
Do you think that I don't know any IG models. I've never interviewed any, I don't think, but do you think that they work hard?
No, not at all. I know them. No, no. I mean, they think they work hard. But hard work isn't getting a good lighting picture and post. It's all statistics, right? The success in IG modeling is all about statistics. Like, and if you have a business page or whatever on, or like a public figure page on Instagram, you can look at your stats, right? When's the best time to post? When are you going to get more engagement? When are you going to get more likes? That's all it is. They're posting according to what this is saying. And you know what? If my butt looks nice and plump in this picture, they know it's just going to go fire. And there have to be some women that have just been like, you know what? I got 8 degrees. I'm tired now. Whatever. I'm just going to post my ass and go. Good for you. I have no issue with that. But the thing is, that's not all of them, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. The part, like, all up until this point is very like gray. It's not right. This whole thing is like, it's not so black and white. To me, though, this is where I want to take it, which is a little more like undeniable, is how it's affecting these young kids, right? So like
Yes.
Young girls are seeing this, and look, like we talked about this off camera, but our role models, look, like people are always going to try to emulate famous people, celebrities, right? But now it's so much more like drastic, widespread. Like these young girls, you said to me, you were like, everyone has the same face. Like they're literally changing their faces. At least when we were growing up, you said it, like we had Britney or whoever who had like a toned body. Sure. You made a great point, which was now they have to, like, you can't even work for that. You have to literally like buy that. And that to me is like, so it really makes me so sad. And I think it's so unhealthy.
Yeah, I mean, we have 13-year-olds wanting lip injections for their birthday because this is what's on Instagram. And that's bonkers. And I mean, not to sound like an old woman, but like, you know what, go through the awkward phase, honey. It builds character, you know? You're gonna come out the other side, I promise you. I promise you. I didn't look like this at 13.
Like my braces made me a better and stronger woman, okay?
It is called character, honey.
I
agree with you completely. And like, I have younger siblings. I worry because they have Instagram, and I'm on their Instagram. I'm on their TikToks. I'm on their Instagram. I'm watching. I'm making sure nothing is crazy. But I'm like, my 13-year-old sister does a fire wing eyeliner and takes a fire selfie. She's 13. Yeah. First of all, I can't even do a wing eyeliner. And like at 13, if I took a picture, it definitely had like, I had like a line of foundation on my chin that didn't match, and I had blue eyeshadow, and you know what? I was just paying my dues, right? And now they're straight out the gate gorgeous. I don't understand. And it's just they're going to have to keep feeling this way. There's no escape. It's just going to get worse and worse, I feel like, with this Instagram influencer lifestyle, you know? Like even me, like I'm confident and I'm content in what I look like and how I feel and stuff. But you know, I'm the first to say I got a flat ass, right? Flatter than a board. And I'm on Instagram and everyone's got an ass. It is astronomical. And I'm like, and I'm 30 and I'm secure, make my own money, and I'm content. And I'm thinking about like an impressionable 13-year-old who hasn't even fully grown into their body yet, looking at these images. It's scary and it's sad, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like with us, a trend from a celebrity would be a hideous, you know, belt and jeans that are just like not okay. Like, but yeah. Listen, I still have my Juicy Couture stuff. Like I'll never get rid of it.
They're coming back. Juicy's coming back.
100%. But now it's like an ass is the trend. It's not a shirt that you throw away.
Yeah, it's literally you're buying your body. And it's like, and you know, and I have seen these kind of like, I don't know if you follow the page Influencers in the Wild or not.
Yes, it's iconic.
In like actual like real time too. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it takes a second to capture a great photo at a good angle. Not what these people look like either. So again, you're just crafting this perfect image that's just not reality. And it's sad. But then it's kind of crazy because then you got the other ones that show like one roll of fat and they're like, this is real. And I'm like, that's not real either. Like, what is going on?
Well, we're in a society of like such Freudian slip of such extremes, right? So we have this extreme, like, almost like caricature changing your body and your face. And to your point, like this was a whole controversy a few months back where like outlets like I think it was like Cosmo or something was putting like morbidly obese women on their covers to make a point being like this is natural and beautiful, and it's like yet again why do we have no chill, zero chill,
no chill. And we actually talk about like when I was modeling, and I have some friends that are still in the industry, I talked to them about that too, like the morbidly obese models that are being shown, like that's just as harmful. One, if you're showing that that's healthy and okay, that's just as harmful. But a lot, the modeling industry has almost been like, I don't want to say like tokenized, but you know, they're just, everything's a gimmick, everything's shock value. It's not just a beautiful Kate Moss. They're doing what is going to get them talked about, right? And that ties back into my like shameless, you know what, like everyone's shameless, no one cares, like, and it's just like, yeah, I can support from afar, like do you, girl, but then what is this leading to? What's the end game here?
Yeah. And then something else like going off of that is at odds is, you know, is it, again, like, are these women just taking advantage of a system that's like working out? And like, I just haven't maybe figured out how to, whatever it is, how to get that. Again, the truth hurts. But like, part of me thinks, you know, and this is the respective lane thing, like, even as kids, right? We can separate entertainers. Like we would watch like racy stuff from Spice Girls and Britney, but I wasn't necessarily, I would learn the dances, whatever, but I wasn't trying to be that in real life. Right.
Right.
And now it's like these influencers kind of blurred it to now even young girls, I feel like can't separate. It's like that they're us. They're not entertainers on like a different level, a different realm. So I'm not saying they're to blame, but that's where, again, it's like, it's tricky. Like who is creating this environment where they feel like they have to look like that? Like, where is it coming from?
I think that the idea of an influencer really started with a lot of girls who wanted to look or be like Kim Kardashian or whoever, and they reached that level of fame, but they never reached that level of fame. So now they're an IG influencer. And I really think that's a big part of it. Like, I don't think people who go into this IG influencing life really plan to go do it. A lot of, at least originally, I think a lot of them really wanted to be the next reality TV star, and they just got knocked down a peg. And that's kind of where we're at. You know, they're just kind of like hoping for the best and doing this and hoping like one picture goes viral, or they get invited to this party, they run into this celebrity, and then boom, you know what, they're on the shade room, right? I think that's a lot of the mentality. Like a lot of these women aren't really looking to take advantage of the system. A lot of them really are wanting attention. And that's kind of where I'm just kind of like, attention for the wrong reasons. I don't really support it. I'm not really a fan, you know? Having a voice is a part of it. Influencers don't have a voice. They're just kind of like a paid advertisement. They're a billboard of looking pretty. And it's just kind of like, that doesn't do anything for me, you know? And I would almost feel like if they all kind of had their own thing, you know what? And like some realness to them, some authenticity to them, a lot of people would support them and they would actually have fans, to be honest.
So what would be the difference between that and like when you're saying like having a voice with like the traditional supermodel, like a Naomi Campbell or a Heidi Klum or a Tyra Banks? Because weren't they just like you know, this sort of like unattainable thing, like not really with a voice per se, right? It would be like a blank slate for designers to put their clothes in. So like what would be, what's the difference? Is it that now it's like we're seeing their whole lives?
Yeah, we're seeing their whole lives, exactly. But also those core supermodels, like there was such an air of mystery about them, right? We didn't know what Tyra Banks was just doing during her day. We didn't know what Cindy Crawford was just like doing on Sunday morning, right? There was an air of mystery. So the only thing we got from them was the very few pictures that were in the magazines every month, right? Now we're bombarded with these women. I'm quite frankly, don't you just get sick of looking at the same thing all the time? And I think that's what it is. Show me something different.
When you talk about how far does it go? And this is where, again, I'm like, how is nobody talking about this? Like I did multiple Google searches on this and there's basically tumbleweed. I'm like, and it's clear as day how much it's impacting our young kids, yet no one is talking about this. I find it so bizarre, but I did find this. I think this was in like a Time article, and it talked about how I'm not even going to get into it. Like you guys can only imagine how much this is screwing with young kids' heads. Like it talks about like anxiety and body, this dysmorphia and
Right.
depression, all this stuff, right? But how it influences the actual influencers. Like I read this, it says 47% of influencers say their work impacts their mental health. 32% have their own body image issues. Again, this is one study, but it goes to show you. So I think that goes into your point of like, how far does this go? Because it really feels like a toxic cycle, right? We look at it and for whatever reason feel like shit. They feel like shit. Our young kids feel like shit and are changing their bodies and their faces. So how far do we go?
Yeah. And the only people that are winning, right, are the brands that are getting more people to buy their product. I mean, I know that I may sound like an asshole saying this, but like I don't feel bad for them. Like you went into this route of just strictly image, right? And now I'm supposed to kind of have this like empathy for you because you have body image issues. Very clear that this industry would cause you body image issues. It's like just as modeling would, but modeling always had a little bit more respect to it at least. Now it's like you want to just show your body for likes, right? And brand endorsement. You can't cry that it's giving you body issues at the same time. Like you got to pick one and you got to stand firm and go.
Can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
Because this is where I feel, again, it's at odds because it's obviously seeping into these young kids. And I also can't fault a girl, like you said, making her coin, doing it, or like a Cardi B whopping. Like, again, I don't think it's their job. I've said this before, to like be a babysitter, and like, it's not their job to be a role model. So with that said, like who prevents these kids from just like spiraling?
You know, if we're going to go full-fledged with these models that are just like shameless and just images, perfected images all day long, then let's go full throttle with all the other stuff too. Let's give them something else to look at, because now, you know, let's show successful women in their face, not just because of their body. You know, I think we're just doing an injustice to like the kids growing up. We're just, this is all they see. This is all they know.
You know, I really prize, and I know you do too, I really prize my intellect and my brains and my education. And yeah, it's like, this whole, I can't help but think, is this whole environment just like sort of like pushing that to the wayside? It's, you know, it's not as important.
Also to touch on, like, I post slutty photos and then they're not, wow, sorry, mom and dad. I post questionable photos and then I see other people do it. Like, what's different between me and them doing it? You know, when it is a girl and you're just like, okay, I support. And you also know when it's a girl that like, she's just trying to methodically post this so she can be a brand ambassador for something I've never heard of.
See, that's the thing too about even like the WAP thing, right? Even this IG model thing, like that's the thing where it gets so tricky because I feel like everything is so subjective. Yeah. Like one person could look at it and be like, this is like art, this is beautiful. This is again where the lines have blurred, right? Because for me, like an artist's job or a performer, it's like we had Prince, we had Madonna, we had Britney, now Cardi. It's to like push that envelope, right? Create culture and like keep things evolving. And so with this whole IG model thing, like, is this doing that? I don't know. Part of me is like, I feel like that's not their job, but it's like, we've made it now where it is because these young kids are emulating that.
Right. And here's the thing. Cardi B can say it's not her job to babysit your kids. These influencers can say it's not their job to be role model. And yeah, it's not their job. But when you are in a public forum, you know what you're putting out. You know what effect it's going to cause. So yeah, it may not be your job, but be prepared for the backlash, right? Be prepared for the judgment. Like, I don't really feel, if you want to do what you want to do, go and do it. Have a ball, run full throttle into it, but then don't cry that you're getting backlash for it, because everything you do, especially as a woman, right, wrong, left, whatever, you're gonna have backlash, and that's just the way it is. Like, people are always gonna talk on it, and that's just unfortunate. But you know what? That's what I'm saying. That's just like to pull it back to this. Like, there's Cardi B, then you know there's Beyonce, right? And everyone, Beyonce has her ass out and her tits out and is twerking and doing all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And we don't hold her to the same standard that we hold, or we don't kind of just totally yell at her. Like, we just kind of like look at Cardi B and discuss, because there's a line. You can shake your ass, but then you don't need to just gyrate your pussy on the internet. Like, there's just like a line. And that's kind of like where it's just like, save some stuff for the bedroom.
And I hear that. And that's where, again, it's like, I had guests on my show Friday who were like, you know, it's art, it's her way of expressing herself. Then there are people who are like, why? Again, it's so vulgar, you know, take it to the strip club. If you want to go to a strip club, why do I have to watch this with my 12-year-old? But this is where, again, it's like the IG model thing, right? When you talk about a line, it's like the gatekeeper thing. It's like, who's going to decide? Who's going to decide with the IG model? Who's going to decide with the Cardi B, with the performer at the Grammys? Like, that's where it gets really tricky, because do we want a big brother deciding, or do we leave it up to us and have this wild west of just doing it?
No, I agree with you. It's always going to be like, but I also feel like trends change, right? And right now the trend is overly
pussy. No,
pussy gyrating. I don't know. I feel like in another 5 years that could change. I think that's just honest. Because think about it. Go back to Britney. When I was 11 or 12, I just wanted a flat stomach because Britney Spears had a flat stomach. I didn't care about boobs. I didn't care about ass. I didn't care about lips. I didn't care about none of that. But now the desired body has changed. And I think everything is just cyclical. It's trends. I feel like we're having an over-sexualized moment right now. And hopefully, I think, you know, a new trend is going to pick up and turn that around, God willing.
Again, it's not just entertainment. Look at them doing that over there anymore. It's now the average woman on our phones all day long doing this, to where young kids feel like they have to look like that. And I feel like it is, I mean, it's something I've thought about a lot throughout my career, and actually big projects I've done have been rooted in this idea. Like, I had 2 big projects. My Playboy project was sort of inspired by this idea, because I was like, again, not to sound hypocritical, but I was like, these IG models are like monopolizing the space and taking over. And I want to prove that you can also have brains and it doesn't take away from that. So let me do this artful pictorial and write like a bomb ass intellectual essay to put pen to paper and express myself that way. Right. It
that
also,
so kick-ass, by the way. So
but this honestly, like, this whole environment is what really inspired me to do that, because I was like, I want to prove that, like, it doesn't take away. We're more, we can be both. Another one I did was like a campaign called We Are More, because I was honestly like fed up. I was like, this is all the hype, all the attention. We're more than that. We're more than a filter, to your point, photo that people tweak the shit out of. Is not authentic. So I had people, celebrities, like people on the street, people on Skid Row, literally anyone you could name, write down like a word that reflects who they are, that we wouldn't know from their perfectly curated IG, right? And I'm going to play for you guys some clips of celebrities, because like I said, this whole topic is nothing new to me. It's something that's like affecting us all, even these like grown ass women, these celebs. Here are some clips of women in the last few years who are high profile talking about this, right? Like, you have the lead of Moana, and you can see her like visceral reaction when I talk about the IG model thing. That's why I know it's like so many women beyond us have this, right? Like, you can see she like rolls her eyes and she's like, they're beautiful, but so are we. I think that's where that frustration like really came in. I don't know about you, but I would look at these like Instagram models and yes, okay, me too. I know, to each their own, but like, I just don't feel like it's real. You know, you look at it and you're like, that's not me. And it's like time that we're like, okay, like, let's just be freaking authentic like we are.
Right, and those girls are beautiful. There's no doubt about it, but so are we. Social media has just kind of given people a platform, and I think it's so time to use our platform for good. And I use a lot of Snapchat filters and Facetune, but really, I just need to be more me.
You can see she has that, like, she's the sweetest thing. She has that like immediate reaction, like, ugh, right? I have Leah Michelle here talking about her balance of posting sexy photos.
I'm here with Leah Michelle. I'm obsessed with your Instagram.
Oh, thanks.
Because here's why. I love how you will post like a perfect balance in my mind of like the bedroom series, right? Like sexy with like glam, and like totally opposite. Right? I love it.
You're cracking me up right now.
Is that intentional for you to have that balance?
I really do, because I think it's important that you have to really stop and remember that this is going out for the world to see, and also my dad. So there is a sexy side, and there is a more, you know, just natural side. There is all different sides to my personality, and I try to make my social media well balanced to show the, you know, people that are following me, you know, all the different sides of who I am.
Yeah.
Debbie Gibson, who's like, be young, like wear pigtails, go to sleepovers, don't try to do all this.
And the fans, tell me your relationship with the fans and
millions of dollars.
How
Girls out there, little girls get away with stuff. 4.5 down there.
Even Olivia Holt, who's in Marvel, talks about, and she's like gorgeous and she has millions of followers. And honestly, her stuff is curated. And she talks about how it gives her anxiety, this whole environment.
Your anxiety come out over time as I got older and Instagram became more relevant, just became a lot. And especially when you're living in a world that's constantly like picking at you and trying to make you different than you, and you're trying to figure yourself out already. It's hard. Instagram definitely it has its pros and its cons, and I think one of the cons is that like it does fall into the category of comparison. And
how would you feel about, like a young woman being like, I'm looking at Olivia's like this or that, and so I'm like, I'm comparing myself to her?
Well, Instagram is our highlight reel, right? And I think that's something that we have to always keep inside of our head. Is that sometimes things are not so perfect.
You could just ditch Instagram forever, would you?
I think I would. Yeah.
And also Stephanie Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. What is it? Brooklyn. What is it? I don't know. Yeah, I went on the set and interviewed the cast. Don't even know the name of the show, but she talks about it too. And she's sort of like, you'll see, and I'm explaining this to you guys in case it's hard to hear, but she compares it to junk food. Like you keep consuming, but at the end of the day, like how much of substance is it to you? Right, to your point, Amanda, same thing.
IG models are all the rage, right? How do you personally feel about posing like sexy or using your body versus not, like the early days of the Kardashians?
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck yeah. And now it's like, I feel like I'm like
junk
nothing
food,
sexy
right?
enough.
Some of it is good in small doses, but like you can't just sustain yourself on something because you'll have a heart attack and get diabetes and die.
Is there a difference between like showing off your brain and your body?
It's a tricky situation, right? Because you don't want to just necessarily be seen for this part of yourself,
right?
But also you don't want to say like I'm not that at all.
Why is like looking at like showing your body almost looked at as like selling it?
Right. I mean, I've had this discussion with so many female friends, and like
me too.
Someone who I think is so incredible, Heather Graham, is like she's a babe, right? Like she's a babe. At the same time, she's really smart, and I think that like that is something that gets overlooked. Like I'm in a film that she directed and wrote that's opening in February called Half Magic, and she's in the film. She actually like discusses that.
A little like snippet for you guys to be immersed in this experience and show that like it's affecting all of us, famous or not, all kinds of women. So to finish this out, where do we take it from here? Where do we go? How do we feel better about the sitch? Because it is what it is and it's there.
I hate to feel like a cliche, like a Hallmark card, but like be true to you. If you literally feel, a lot of these women that are doing this, they're not being them true selves. Like it's just so obvious. I mean, people will come back at me and say they will, but like whatever. Be exactly who you are. Use your head, use your brain, use your voice. That's what a lot of women are afraid to do. They're afraid to use their voice, but they'd rather show their ass. You can do both. We're multifaceted, we're amazing, and we're beautiful women. We can do both. We're not just subject to one. And you can, guess what? You can make money and make your coin doing both too. It just may come a little easy, a little harder, but it's going to come with respect in the end.
I know a story of a huge Instagram model who's super vocal politically and then stopped posting all that stuff and deleted it because she didn't want it to affect her IG modeling thing. And to me, it's like, is it worth it? So we can be both. You're right. We're multifaceted, but I think about like, what's your worth, girl? At the end of the day, like use that voice and use it loud and proud.
Yes. Womanhood.
Thank you so much, my love. PSU represent, baby.
Yes, forever.